Hello, this is Dr. Irene Hausinger, and we will be going over the syllabus for treatment of addiction, CDP 401, summer 2020. As a class, we have decided that we will be meeting for our Zoom session from 1 to 2 on Thursdays. Primarily, the classroom is going to be in Moodle, and then in our Voxer space, this is my cell phone number, this is my email address, and this is my Zoom link. Course description. Grounded in evidence-based clinical skills, students will be prepared to screen, assess, diagnose, and treat substance abuse disorders according to the National Association of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Counselors, NADAC, which is our governing body, their professional ethical standards. Students will learn the appropriate treatment modalities for individuals, families, and groups, and all the required documentation for the treatment process. The ASAM, American Society of Addiction Medicine criteria, will also be the foundation for addiction placement, continued care, and transfer discharge. Students will also examine the intersectionality of class, race, culture, and spirituality and its implications to treatment. Co-occurring disorders, trauma, and HIV/AIDS brief risk intervention are also addressed. Specifically, at the end of this class, students will apply the individual, family, and group counseling methods for chemical dependency in different community and clinical settings. Apply the understanding of addiction placement, continuing care, and discharge criteria, including American Society of Addiction Medicine criteria to different clinical situations and scenarios. Be familiar with the documentation of screening, intake, assessment, treatment plan, clinical reports, clinical progress notes, discharge summaries, and other client-related data. Understand and apply the implication of class, race, ethnicity, culture, and religion, spirituality on treatment and in different clinical situations and scenarios. Gain in-depth knowledge of chemical dependency treatment planning, treatment relapse prevention, and evaluation with special focus on special populations such as adolescent and veterans. Explore and identify different modality and messaging of client, family, and community education. Become familiar with community resources and the referral process. Understand the process of chemical dependency case management and all the unique rules, expectations, and needs of this population. Complete the HIV bloodborne pathogen training through NADAC and complete the HIV brief risk intervention for high-risk clients. Course assumptions. In this course, you are expected to be an active participant and take ownership of your learning experience. You are encouraged to indulge your curiosity and to share your thoughts, experiences, and questions. The course learning consists of content, which is what we are learning, and process, how we get there together. These are the universal learning tenets that we have in the BSW program. Everyone has the right to learn, so even though this doesn't completely apply, it is important that you make some time and some type of schedule for your reading and for listening to the lectures, and then of course for our Zoom sessions. Please come to class prepared. So ideally what that would look like is that you listen to the lecture, complete the reading before our Thursday Zoom class. As this is an online class, your attendance and participation will be followed via Moodle, course discussions, assignments, and quizzes/weekly assignments. In the shortened summer semester, it is very important that you plan ahead and make sure to budget your time accordingly. We have a limited amount of time for assignments and extensions. In an online environment, you're not as bound to the limits of time as one is in with person or hybrid. That being said, online classes do bring about a unique challenge in that they require one to be more self-disciplined in meeting deadlines, staying up on the reading, and in self-governance. It can become very easy to fall behind quickly. It is recommended that you create yourself a schedule and get into the habit of setting time for your work in regular intervals. Everyone shares in the responsibility of creating an open, respectful, and safe learning environment. We understand that our members represent a rich variety of backgrounds and perspectives. The social work program is committed to providing an atmosphere for learning that respects diversity. While working together to build this community, we ask all members to share their unique experiences, be open to the views of others, honor the uniqueness of their colleagues, appreciate the opportunity that we have to learn from each other in this community, value each other's opinions, and communicate in a respectful manner. Keep confidential discussions that the community has of a personal or professional nature. Use this opportunity together to discuss ways in which we can create an inclusive environment in St. Martin's. My late assignment policy is as follows. For written assignments such as papers, 10% deducted for each unexcused day late. If an emergency occurs, please contact me 24 hours in advance. There are no extensions for extensions. This is even more true during an online summer class. It is very important that even if you have a whiff of something that you might need an extension for, go ahead and ask for the extension. And if you don't need it, then you don't need to use it. But it's so important to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I don't know how much of a summer vacation we can have right now with the pandemic, but if there is something planned um, and you're going to miss some time or be traveling, then please make arrangements with me ahead of time. We run Monday through Sunday with each week's Moodle module, say that 5 times fast, Moodle module, opening on Monday and closing Sunday. Most of the assignments are due on Sundays. Group class discussion will occur through our weekly Zoom check-ins and then our walkie-talkie app, which is Voxer. Each week, we'll have a discussion question and you'll be asked to state your opinion and respond. And we'll do that over Zoom. The idea is to dialogue and create collaborative discussion with one another like we do in an in-person environment. So Voxer is basically 24-hour office hours. You can ask questions that can't wait till next week. You can start up a discussion if there's something that you read about and you're really curious. So it's a way for us to interact with each other. You can send pictures of your dog or the awesome food that you made, or if you go to the beach or whatever it is. What's nice about it is that it's secure and it allows you to use your phone or the computer without sharing your personal cell phone number, and it mitigates any problems between iPhones and Droids. So in general, with the exception at the end of the semester, most things are due on Sundays by 11:59, but look at the schedule to make sure. Right? Like all universities, we have an academic integrity policy, and if you're curious about that, it's in the student handbook. Right? Most plagiarism is accidental, and if you have difficulty with citations or anything like that, then I am absolutely happy I am very happy to help you with that or give you resources for the Writing Center, etc. All right, so if you need accommodations for anything, then our disability support services, they're fantastic and very quick about it. What I do want to say though is that this is not retroactive. So if you're having a difficult time and then in the middle of the semester you get an accommodation, I can't include past assignments or missed things in your accommodation. So I would recommend, even if you're thinking about it, again, having it, needing it, etc., to do it now. All right. So this is our process reporting for sexual harassment. Okay, it's following the same channels, but if something happens electronically, then you would contact one of these people. Okay, this is our grading scale for all of our BSW classes, and now we'll get to the fun stuff. So I like to have a big pool of points so that if you were to not do so stellarly on one assignment, it's not going to tank your whole grade. So here we have a pot of 710 points. We have 12 weeks, so each week is worth 10 points of discussion, and that's your Zoom, so basically 10 points. Right? You will have a weekly practice reflection, okay? And we'll adjust that number as we need to, but usually it's 12 to 15. Okay? You will be taking the NADAC class, which is 3 HIV bloodborne pathogen certifications, and this is important because you need this in order to apply for the SUDPT. Right? We have a curriculum binder that you will be doing. You can do this in a hard copy or you can do it in a portfolio, an electric portfolio, and I'll talk a little bit about that. In this class, we will be doing our own ASAM assessment and an IS, which is an interpretive summary. We will be learning about documentation, and you'll have 2 notes. DAP is the style of note that we do in CDP. And then you will be doing an HIV, BRI stands for Brief Risk Intervention video interview. Our main book is going to be the SAC book, Substance Abuse Counseling. It's a wonderful book. It's not too big, but the print is kind of small. We're going to be reading In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Close Encounters with Addiction by Dr. Gabor Mate. You will need to get a NADAC student membership. It is $42.50 for the year in Washington State. You need to purchase that before you can do the HIV class. Now, why I have you do this is so that it's actually more cost effective for you. So you will have access to hundreds of webinars when you have this membership. And all of these webinars have CEUs. So you watch a webinar and then you take a quiz, and then you get a CEU, which is a continuing education unit, which you can count towards some of your training for the SCDPT. And also, we'll talk about exactly how to go about doing that, but you will need, as a professional, to get CEUs, and this is a very inexpensive way and a great way to go about doing them. And there's literally hundreds of different things that you can choose from. Right, we're going to be watching a film called The 13th Step. If you have Prime, it's free on Prime, it's free on Tubi, or it's $1.99 on Vimeo. And there might be another film or two that I want you to do, and it's either going to be free on Prime or like $3, under $3 usually. Okay. So this first week, we're going to look at Intro to Treatment, and your weekly practice is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Okay. So we're starting out with the SAC book. Chapter 2 is a review from the addiction class. So if you took the MAC addiction class, or if you took my addiction class, it's basically going to go over drug classifications, etc. So this is a good week to get ahead in your reading. Week 3, we're going to talk about motivational interviewing, which is very successful with addiction patients. And you're going to be using these skills when you do your HIV BRI video. Then we're going to go into screening and assessment. So it's corresponding by the chapters here. Your first HIV class through the NADAC website is going to be due June 14th. Okay. We're going to have an assessment that I'll do over Zoom. This class time is going to need to be a little bit longer, so we will discuss a time for that. Assessments are usually about 90 minutes, so it's not something that we're going to be able to do. Alternatively, I can also record an assessment. Okay. But you're going to be able to see the process. And then I'm going to put you into pairs. I'm going to email you a biography. And then you will pair up with somebody in the class. One of you will play the counselor. One of you will play the client. The counselor will do an assessment on the client. And you as a client will role play your biography. And then you'll switch. More on this later. Okay. So your brief risk intervention video using your motivational interviewing skills is due 6/21. From here, we're going to talk about the nature of the counseling relationship, which is chapter 5. And you're going to turn in a DAP note on Moodle. Okay. Now, you will have a couple different opportunities to practice documentation and DAP notes. And if you do choose this as a career, you will do thousands of DAP notes, and that is not an exaggeration. From here, we're going to look at group counseling. So your assessment and interpretive summary of your assessment is due on the 5th, and you're going to submit a DAP note on the assessment that you did, so a progress note about the assessment that you did. It'll take you 5 minutes. That's a promise. Week 8, we're looking at, you have your second HIV blood-borne pathogen course due. We're going to look at relapse and relapse prevention and working with families. So here you have chapter 7, 8, and then ghosts part 1. And then we will be looking at what makes a successful service program. And this is your last HIV class that is due. And make sure that you save and print out those certificates. Okay. So here we're going to be at chapter 9, Ghost part 2, chapter 10, and the appendix and Ghost part 3. Then we'll be looking at service coordination and referral. And from here on out, we're just in the Ghost book, part 4 and 5, special populations, 6 and 7, and then treatment alternatives. We will be talking about treatment alternatives on and off throughout the semester, but we'll hit that hard on the last day here. So here are all of our learning objectives for the CSWE. Now we will talk about the important things, your assignments. So for the NADAC, there's 3 of these classes. They're 50 points each for a total of 150. You will need to purchase a 1-year NADAC membership in the amount of $35. This is actually $42. Each state is different, so $42.50. We'll go ahead and change that. This will allow you to participate in their online courses and earn CEUs. For this course, you will need to take the HIV bloodborne pathogens 1, 2, and 3. and it will count towards your required education for the Department of Health. And you'll upload your certificate into that Dropbox. Okay, and that's the course schedule that we went over. Your assessment, I will give you a template. You'll complete an assessment and an interpretive summary, which is basically a biopsychosocial assessment and write-up. Then you will complete that, assess for the appropriate level of care, and write an interpretive summary using the provided template. The HIV brief risk intervention video, you'll be using your motivational interviewing skills and record a short role play of yourself with a client who is exhibiting high-risk behavior for either alcohol or other substances in terms of risky decision-making and behavior. Complete the HIV brief risk intervention screening form, briefly educate your client about safety and harm reduction measures, and then connect your client to local resources if the BRI indicates that they are 1, high risk, 2, in need of education, 3, in need of resources. Upload your video to the appropriate assignment space. It shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. So these are uncomfortable questions, and so there's a couple different parts. 1, you compassionately go through the questions. 2, you educate your client about safety and harm reduction measures and give them a risk rating. And then 3, based off of their risk rating, then you give them a plan of action. So it's very important that you hit all 3 of those points. We'll be doing DAP notes. We will practice charting and documentation. The assignment, which encompasses 2 parts, will be submitted online. You'll watch a one-on-one counseling session, and the other one will be the note based off of your assessment. We have a community resource binder, also group binder. You will create a client-centered resource binder. We can also substitute the word portfolio here, geared towards the community, county, city, state, etc., in which you live, or if you know that you're going somewhere else, you can gear it towards there too. The goal of this is to increase awareness of local programs, agencies, and resources for those impacted by substance use, including individuals, families, veterans, and those with co-occurring diagnosis. The idea is that this is a living document and you'll be able to add to it as you go and start your career. There's 2 parts to this. The first part is resources, and the second part are worksheets and topics and a curriculum that you basically build for working one-on-one and with group. When we're in school, we have time to do things like this, but when we are working, we don't often have time. So I've had people get jobs because of this assignment before, because they go into their interview and they have this, like, this is what I've done, and I've done this, and I know resources, and I've also had internship sites ask people to make them a binder because the student's binder is so great. So normally people will go out into the community and talk to people, get business cards, get flyers, get pamphlets, etc. In the time of COVID-19, you'll probably most likely, depending on the phases that we're in Washington State, do this online, and sometimes people do this in a Word document or OneNote. Sometimes people do this in a PowerPoint presentation. That is completely up to you. It is your tool, and you should organize it in the way that is best for you to use it. And then each week you will have either a skill to practice, something to try, observe, or a reflection. And assignments will be posted each week on Monday, and they're due the following Sunday. Okay. Great. All right. I look forward to seeing you in our class space. Dr. Hausinger out.